We want Switzerland.
You're watching President Trump take questions in the Oval Office after swearing in the new ambassador to India, who incidentally worked with me at Fox News about 25 years ago. We're going to be following this event, meanwhile, 41 days later, and it looks like, but we can't be sure, an end may be in sight. Over the weekend, the Senate voted to advance a new continuing resolution bill to end the government shutdown. But don't start the celebration. We're not yet in the clear. This week, the Senate must hold a final vote to pass that bill, and if passed, the bill will then head across Capitol Hill and back to the House. The House must then vote and pass it before it can be sent 16 blocks away to the White House for the president's signature. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson is here with more in a second, including what's in the new spending bill from the Senate and whether he expects to pass it in the House. The shutdown deal comes as America's airports are in total disarray. According to FlightAware, so far today, more than 2,000 flights have been canceled. But here's some good news for those air traffic controllers who've been working without pay these last several weeks. Earlier today, President Trump took to Truth Social to post in part, quote, "For those air traffic controllers who are great patriots and did not take any time off for the Democrat shutdown hoax, I will be recommending a bonus of $10,000 per person for distinguished service to our country. For those that did nothing but complain and took time off, even though everyone knew they would be paid in full shortly into the future, I'm not happy with you." End quote. Also today, President Trump is threatening to sue another news organization, this time for $1 billion. Which news organization and why? That's coming up. Plus, freezing cold temperatures are coming to the U.S. We're going to tell you where and when. But first, what a difference a year can make. Today, President Trump hosted Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara at the White House. A year ago at this time, the U.S. had a $10 million bounty on al-Shara's head. He once had ties to terrorist group al-Qaeda. Back in May, President Trump and al-Shara held their first meeting in Saudi Arabia. Foreign Affairs correspondent Alex Salvi joins me. Nice to have you on the show, Alex, who I should tell the viewers we've worked together in Munich, in London or in Windsor, and now here you are assigned to Washington. So welcome to Washington.
Yeah, we're going around the world together here.
We're going around the world together. All right, the president of Syria, President Trump just described him as having a rough past. I thought that was quite a gentle way to put it.
Yeah, I think my high school teachers would say that I had a rough past, but it really doesn't compare to what this guy's been through. Go back to the early 2000s. This was a man that was held in U.S. detention in Iraq because of his affiliation to al-Qaeda. 10 years later, we find him again in Syria leading this group of rebels against Bashar al-Assad and that government. A 14-year extremely bloody war, something that has been completely chaotic. And then just last year, all of a sudden, almost out of nowhere, this group comes to power, rises to power, and only then did the United States remove that $10 million bounty off of his head. In fact, Greta, it was just last week where they took him off this terrorist designation list to allow him and his foreign minister to escape sanctions. So to say that that rough past is now unwinding, it's moving very fast as of recently.
I wonder what Putin and Russia and Iran are both thinking, because they both were friends of the old Syrian regime, and now they're seeing that that he's getting a meeting at the White House with the President of the United States.
Yeah, and, he has met with Putin, but that is almost seen a little bit as leverage, just in case the West doesn't necessarily give him what he's looking for here. But really, they have the cards here, as President Trump likes to say. And you bring up an excellent point. A lot of people may be asking, well, why should Americans care about Syria? And it's a good question, but look at that right there. It's one less place where Russia could have military bases. It's one less place where Iran could store its proxies, which we know have launched attacks against American troops all across the Middle East. It's one less adversarial country on the border with Israel. So when you look at all of that, there are reasons why a stable Syria does matter to the United States.
Well, if you compare and contrast to, like, even President Obama, I mean, here President Trump is disarming, figuratively, the president of Syria. And if you go back to about 2012, President Obama said there's going to be a red line that the former president, Assad, that he couldn't cross using chemical weapons against his people. Then, of course, he did use chemical weapons against people. Nothing was done. But what a shift in what's happened in just, 13 years.
And it's a little bit ironic, too, because we're dealing with a president who a lot of people would describe as populist, maybe even isolationist. But when you look at American foreign policy, I don't think there's any doubt that it really is successful as of recently. Russia has really directed a lot of its forces into Ukraine, and as a result, they've lost a foothold of Syria, as we're talking about right now. It was just last week where Kazakhstan, another former Soviet state, said that it'll be joining the Abraham Accords, increasing ties with the United States. Armenia, Azerbaijan. We could go around the map around Russia and really see that they're losing a foothold in a lot of these countries that Putin would probably like to have good ties with, and it's coming to the benefit of the United States.
Can you see the day? I mean, it actually looks possible where Syria joins the Abraham Accords.
I mean, the way things are going, I think that if President Trump has his way, that's exactly what he's looking for. I mean, there are countries out there who at one point throughout their history had, you could argue, even more adversarial relations with Israel, who have joined the Abraham Accords. And when it comes to Syria, what they're looking for right now, they want international legitimacy. They want sanctions released so that they could get investment from foreign countries. They seem to be going down the path, a lot of these Arab countries, a lot of these Muslim countries, where they want to build up economically. And that's how they want to enter the world stage, as opposed to a country like Iran, for example, who has no problem being a pariah as long as they get their autocratic control.
Let's put the map back up there, because the map, it's so interesting to see where Syria is in the Middle East, and see how it's positioned.
Sure.
Put the map up on the screen. There it goes. Yeah. Just look at that, Alex.
Yeah.
I mean, look where Syria is. Look at the neighbors, and look where Israel is.
And keep in mind, too, that this is a country that ever since this 14-year civil war broke out, that resulted in a mass migrant crisis for Europe. 1 million people in 2015 entered the European countries. Ever since then, that has been a political catalyst in so many different ways, demographic changes. But we also look across Europe as well, where we see these right-wing conservative movements that are rising to power on this very issue, saying that we need to have more stricter borders, we need deportations. That has been an issue that has been driving the continent for several years at this point, and it's largely due to the civil war that broke out in Syria.
Well, how surreal! Up until December of last December is when, up until December last year, he had a $10 million bounty on his head, and today he's a guest at the White House. You can't make this stuff up. Alex Salvi, nice to see you.
Greta, thank you.
Emergency crews are responding after a small plane crashed into a residential neighborhood. It happened in Coral Springs, Florida. According to the Coral Springs Police Department, the plane took off from Fort Lauderdale Executive Airport about 10:14 a.m. Eastern Time. Just 6 minutes later, at 10:20 a.m. Eastern, the plane crashed into the backyard of a home in Coral Springs. Video shows the plane took down a fence and trees before it crashed into a man-made pond. According to reports, the plane was en route to Jamaica for relief efforts following Hurricane Melissa. At this time, there is no word about anyone on that plane. Coming up, President Trump has granted a full, complete, and unconditional pardon to 77 people, but there's a slight issue. That when the record continues.
Federal agencies urge every family to have an emergency radio. During any disaster, electrical power may get cut. The emergency radio gives you the vital information you need. Newsmax wants you to have the Dynamo Emergency Band Radio. It doesn't need batteries and works in any emergencies. It retails for $30. You can get it with the free offer. Call or go online and get the emergency radio today. Your life may depend on it.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 91 years of age, here with my wife Shirley, who is 83. Now, both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno 150. Now, we are asking you to use Immuno 150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you.
It really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order now. You'll be glad you did.
Nobody wants to put a new roof over their head. It's too expensive. And if they can extend the life of that roof and get 5 more years or 10 more years, it's a no-brainer.
What Roofmax does is it helps people in that they don't have to spend that $15,000, $20,000 on a new roof. They can spend pennies on the dollar.
The Roofmax product was a small percentage of cost of replacing a roof.
This is a great financial decision for us as a community.
Every day, bumps and bangs happen. Bruises are optional. Used daily, dermatologist-recommended Dermend Moisturizing Bruise Cream can help restore your skin's natural barrier and reduce the appearance of bruises. If you have mature skin and bruise easily, get Dermend Moisturizing Bruise Cream in the first aid aisle and get back to having way too much fun.
President Donald Trump has granted full, complete, and unconditional pardons to 77 people who were accused of trying to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. But there's a glitch. Presidential pardons only apply to federal crimes and convictions, and none of the 77 people who Trump has pardoned are facing federal charges. They're all facing state charges. So this pardon won't shield them from ongoing state prosecutions, so these pardons by the president are symbolic. You will recognize a few names on the pardon list: former White House Chief of Staff in the first Trump administration and former Republican Congressman from North Carolina, Mark Meadows, former New York City Mayor and former Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani, and attorney Sidney Powell. The president did add that the list is not limited to just this group of 77. Meanwhile, it happened. A federal grand jury has subpoenaed former CIA Director John Brennan, former FBI Special Agent Peter Strzok, and former FBI lawyer Lisa Page, with whom Strzok in 2016 was having an extramarital affair. You may remember their steamy emails and texts that were publicized. Brennan's subpoena comes after last month the House Judiciary Committee referred Brennan to the Justice Department for criminal prosecution. The referral alleges that Brennan knowingly made false statements to Congress about his alleged role in the, quote, Russian collusion hoax. Strzok's and Page's subpoenas are also related to the Trump-Russia probe. In 2016, Strzok was the FBI agent who opened the FBI's initial Russia investigation, which he nicknamed Crossfire Hurricane, a name Strzok picked from a Rolling Stones song. In 2017, Strzok and Page were assigned to work on special counsel Robert Mueller's team. Both served short terms on Mueller's team. But in 2018, Strzok and Page came under scrutiny when Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz, that is when he uncovered a series of anti-Trump texts between the two. Following the uncovering of the anti-Trump texts between the two, in May of 2018, Page resigned from the Bureau, and in August 2018, Strzok was fired. He sued the federal government for his firing, and the case is ongoing. But now all three parties have been subpoenaed by a federal grand jury. The grand jury is out of the Southern District of Florida. United States Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, Jason Redding Quinones, is supervising the probe. Former federal prosecutor Joseph Moreno joins me. Nice to see you.
Hey, Greta.
Okay, 2 weeks ago, Chairman Jim Jordan of the House Judiciary Committee said that he referred Brennan to the Justice Department for a criminal investigation possibility. So if Brennan is the target, why is the grand jury, explain this to me, why is the grand jury subpoenaing him? Because he has a Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate himself. He doesn't have to answer to that subpoena, except, I guess, to go in and say, I take the Fifth.
Yeah, and any competent attorney would say you absolutely do not go before a grand jury and give testimony unless you're immunized, right? So you could say, look, I'll go in there if I am basically protected against any future charges. Other than that, I'm not saying a word.
Well, also immunity is rather squishy because you're a former federal prosecutor. The two types of immunity you would sometimes give immunity light, which I never liked, or you'd get real immunity, which you never got.
Right. Transactional immunity is for specific charges and specific cases, and blanket immunity is sort of, sweeping. The prosecution's not going to give either of them to either of these three individuals. Probably what happens is prosecutors like to be able to show that they gave the opportunity for individuals to testify, even if you know they're not going to. Sometimes also grand jury members want to hear from certain individuals, and so the prosecutors will say, okay, we'll invite them to come in, and ultimately they don't. Or they come in and say, as you suggested, I plead the Fifth. So very small likelihood anything interesting is going to come out of this grand jury testimony.
Why is this in South Florida?
It's not a funny glitch, huh? Because you have testimony given 10 minutes from where we're sitting here in Washington, D.C. I know, right? Look, this is a glitch of our system, right? Federal crimes. We have this very broad concept if there's any nexus, any connection to anywhere that a potential crime could be alleged to have had. In this case, televised, right? So if someone
would it be enough that it was investigating Trump and he lived in Mar-a-Lago?
That could be.
That could be enough.
It's almost impossible to get something like this dislodged. And the worst case, even if a defendant could get a case moved from Florida, it would just be brought again. So it's almost sort of it's a moot point to even try to fight it.
I always thought I was the hardest on Lisa Page, a lawyer. I mean, I held her to sort of a higher standard. And then I read her. I mean, but those emails are really terrible. She's having an affair with the guy who's investigating. They're anti-Trump emails. And okay, I get it that they don't like Trump. But the idea that they'd be exchanging these emails back and forth, these anti-Trump emails, yet staying on the investigation, was so reprehensible. I would have sent her to the bar. And I'd rather actually face an indictment than the bar in some instances.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Look, it's a basic tenet of being not just a prosecutor, but a lawyer in general. If you have such a bias, if you have such an inability.
Yeah, look at these. God, Trump is a loathsome human. Oh, my God, Trump's an idiot. Page, he's awful. Strzok, good Hillary should win 100 million to 0. And these are the people that the FBI thinks are okay to have a fair, open-minded for an investigation that struck names after some juvenile song he likes.
Yeah, it's so unprofessional, so unworthy
of that.
Well, it's unethical. Right? I mean, and they're doing it on government phones, which is like the stupidest thing, because then the government can see what they were writing. So, look, have the honor to take yourself off a case, regardless of whether you're a prosecutor, you're an investigator, or even a defense counsel. If you can't separate your personal animus for someone from your professional obligation to follow the facts and the law, you should have no part of that. And have the ethics, have the honor to say, you know what, I don't want to be a part of this.
But there are two issues here. One is they may not have committed a crime. I don't know. We'll figure that out. I don't know what the crime is, why they're being hauled in before the grand jury, and they'll probably take the fifth. The other is how ugly and deceitful. You know, Trump always claims, has been talking about the swamp. I mean, it is so appalling.
Yeah, and I think that probably Donald Trump probably regrets the fact that he let a lot of this go. Remember all the joking about, lock her up Hillary, right? But he never actually went after Hillary Clinton when he became president. He never went after James Comey when Comey leaked non-public information to the New York Times. He never went after all the individuals involved in Crossfire Hurricane.
They did the other way. They said horrible things in private and went after him.
Well, then he faced 4 years of lawfare. So I think this time around, I kind of understand why he's going to say, hey, you know what? I'm going after these people and let the chips fall where they may.
But there's a point in prosecution. I mean, there's always deterrence of others is one of the reasons a case gets prosecuted. Also, the protection of the community and all that. But deterrence of others. But if they did something wrong, if they violated the law, to deter other FBI agents from abusing their awesome position as a member of the FBI and have enough sense not to. I mean, if they feel so biased or strongly against someone, they don't have a vendetta.
You would hope that just the fact that their careers were ended and they kind of limped out of an FBI career in disgrace, you would think that's enough and criminal prosecution is not necessary. But hopefully one of the good things that can come out of this basically decade of tremendously unprofessional behavior from the FBI and the prosecutors, hopefully.
But even Brennan signed that letter where 51 people signed right before the election, which said something like the earmarks of Russian information, something like that. It was so lame. He was using his position as former director of the CIA about the laptop that belonged to Hunter Biden. And 9 months earlier, in December earlier, the FBI had actually seized that laptop. And Brennan could have picked up the phone and called the FBI. Instead, they all 51, like a bunch of sheep, signed that letter.
Greta, I'm dating myself here, but there was a time not that long ago that a retired CIA director, national security advisor, 4-star generals, you kind of retire into you kind of go into the background. You write a book, maybe you teach, but you would never get politically involved. And the fact that we have individuals who have no problem going on TV, signing letters, doing this sort of thing, it really is sort of a black mark on what used to be a very nobile industry in the intelligence community.
Well, even if he didn't have a bad motive, boy, how stupid! It's like we can't use stupid either as the 51 of what is a Russian operation that they would do that. Stupid is almost as bad as bad criminal motive.
Shameless. Yeah. Too.
Joseph Moreno, thank you. Nice to see you. And the Supreme Court has agreed to make a decision on something that President Trump has been against for a while. It is whether or not federal law prohibits states from counting ballots that arrive after Election Day. Trump says those ballots should not be counted. Right now, the law in about 30 states authorizes counting mail-in ballots after election days. Officials in those states believe the grace period aids voters, including military personnel. President Trump has argued that this creates opportunities for fraud. The president has also said this undermines voter confidence by making it impossible to quickly announce final results. The Supreme Court announced it will review the challenges made by the Republican National Committee and the Mississippi Libertarian Party. The justices will hear oral arguments early next year and likely deliver their decision by the end of June. Coming up, is the shutdown really ending? The top Republican in Congress, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, joins me next. That when the record continues.
You hear the same voices.
Donald Trump knows that's a lie.
From the same people.
Donald Trump is less lucid.
Saying the same thing.
Insults, invective, and outright lies.
And you say, enough! I'm Chris Salcedo, and I'll tell you the real news. If you don't believe me, just tune in.
Let's be honest. There are zillions of things you'd rather do than look for insurance. Like assembling whatever that's supposed to be. Or teaching your kid to...
Slow down, honey.
Drive. Fortunately, the Zebra searches over 100 insurance companies for you to find savings no one else can. You'd rather do this than look for insurance? We can save you up to $900 a year when you bundle auto and home. I think I'll wait inside. The Zebra. We do the searching, you do the saving.
If you knew how fragile America's power grid is, you'd be alarmed. Susceptible to cyber attacks and sudden shutdowns, you could be left powerless without notice. Not with the Grid Doctor 300. Portable, it packs a punch. This solar generator powers electronics, small appliances, ham radio stations, even CPAP machines, all while it charges by the sun for free. Unlock more power, more features, and better tech today. Get the Grid Doctor 300 at mypatriotsupply.com. mypatriotsupply.com.
A peace plan for Gaza. For the plan to advance, Hamas must disarm. Instead,
tonight, terrifying images emerging from Gaza. Videos show Hamas-linked gunmen carrying out a public execution as they return to the streets.
Hamas on a rampage, executing Palestinians, bloody crackdown, spreading terror. For freedom, not terror, Hamas must go.
It's the holiday season on Solitaire Grand Harvest, and now you have a chance to win a premium baking kit. Enjoy festive solitaire adventures with fun challenges. Step into Sonny's kitchen. He's already cooking up a feast and looking for a co-chef. Tastes like a win to me. Join the millions already enjoying exciting levels and mini games. Download Solitaire Grand Harvest for free now and get a chance to win a holiday baking kit. New winner every week.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 91 years of age, with my wife Shirley, who is 83. Now, both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno-150. Now, neither of us have any kind of sickness, and we're as flexible as we were 30 years ago, and we still do the physical things we did 30 years ago. Now, we are asking you to use Immuno-150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you. You won't believe it. Immuno-150 is an awesome nutritional supplement. There's nothing like it.
Yes, it really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order online or call the number listed on the screen, but don't place your order until after you've watched the videos on our website. Thank you from both of us, and God bless.
It's just like our new house.
I hope you have an American Home Shield warranty. Leaky toilet? Fixed. Oven beyond repair? If AHS can't fix your covered item, then replace it, no matter its age.
Sign up today at ahs.com.
What a 41 days it has been, especially for government employees working for no pay. But don't blame the House. Back on September 19th, the House passed a temporary clean continuing resolution. They were 11 days ahead of the September 30 deadline when government funding ran out. The Senate rejected the House CR, and since then, 41 days, the nation has been waiting to see what the Senate would do. I cautiously say we may have that answer. Speaker of the House, Louisiana Republican Congressman Mike Johnson joins me. Good evening, sir.
Hey, my friend, great to hear your voice. And yes, it looks like we may be on the verge of our long national nightmare coming to an end. Finally, at least a handful of common sense Democrats in the Senate look like they're going to do the right thing and respond to the plea of millions of people across this country and, of course, Republicans in Congress and President Trump, and reopen the government. It's the most basic responsibility, and it's long overdue.
What exactly is the deal? Is there any change from just is there something different than just your clean resolution, because you wouldn't have to vote on it? What's in it that that has to go over to the House?
Well, not much. I mean, the CR, the Clean Continuing Resolution that you explained we passed back in September, mid-September, seems like a decade ago now, is virtually unmodified except for the date, because we were going to extend another 7 weeks, which would have given us until November 21st. But of course, because of the Democrats' shenanigans, they ate all the time off the clock now. So that date will now be pushed to January 30th, which will allow us in Congress time to finish the regular order of appropriations to get the government funded in due course. Then we'll also add to this package 3 of those legislative appropriations bills. And so you'll have the legislative branch bill, you'll have military construction and VA, and the agriculture bill. So that means, in layman's terms, what it'll make sure of is it will ensure that all these folks that are covered by those bills are covered until the end of the next fiscal year, which is next September, 2026. So you're talking about farmers, veterans, all these essential services and things that have been held up. We'll take care of that in one big foul swoop. And also we're going to make sure in the bill that we go back and back pay all these federal employees who have been made to sacrifice so much because the Democrats have been playing political games here.
Well, the big beautiful bill did away with the subsidies for the ACA, the Obamacare, for lack of a better word for it, and that was what holding it up. A lot of the Democrats, so they said, in the Senate. What becomes of that? Is there going to be a vote on that? Have you talked to Senator Thune about that?
Yes, a very important clarification here, though. The big beautiful bill, that was our Republican bill that we got signed into law July 4th, the Working Families Tax Cut, didn't deal with the Obamacare subsidies at all. The reason they're expiring is because the Democrats themselves, they put that expiration date on it at the end of this year. And why is that? This is really important because it's an enhanced subsidy. They did it, the rationale was during COVID that people needed a big payout from the government, and so they did it on a short time period. Remember, the COVID pandemic expired. It was over. It was declared over more than 2 years ago under the Biden administration, and yet these subsidies are still flowing. Greta, the problem with that is that we are subsidizing very wealthy insurance companies. That is not helping costs go down. It's driving premiums up even higher. So Republicans want to fix the broken system. We don't want to throw good money at a broken and failing system. And the Unaffordable Care Act has been that since it was signed into law, passed by the Democrats alone back in 2010. We've got to reduce the cost of health care and the cost of living, by the way, and Republicans are the ones that have the ideas to do that.
How and when are you going to do that? Because at least according to the political polling, 71% of the population that they polled, at least, are concerned about the subsidies ending at the end of the year. So, if this is just about subsidizing the insurance companies, you say, the American people think it's something very different, and they're going to be getting the bills in the mail.
Yeah, there's a lot of misinformation out there about this, and some of that's intentional by our Democrat colleagues because they're trying to make this into something that it isn't. This is what's really important. We're not just talking about it on the Republican side, we're actually doing it. In the Working Families Tax Cut, in the big beautiful bill, the version that passed the House, we had a provision in the bill called the cost sharing reduction provisions, and that would have driven down premiums on average by 12.7% for every person who has insurance. But the Democrats fought to take it out of the bill. So if they cared so much about health care costs, they shouldn't be fighting provisions like that. We're putting together some ideas that will drive the premiums down because health care is too expensive in this country. It's too expensive because the Democrats built a system that doesn't work. So we need to look at the root causes of the cost that have skyrocketed and address that for the people. Merely subsidizing something is not the answer. When the government subsidizes something, it almost always means it's not working, and that's the problem.
Well, is the Republican idea or solution going to go into effect at midnight on December 31st? Because people are going to get sticker shock on this insurance. I mean, this is really sort of an urgent matter for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's an urgent matter for us, and it has been, which is why we put it into the bill that we passed in the early summer, and the Democrats fought to take it out. So we're reintroducing some of these ideas. There's a lot of ideas on how to drive the cost down, and we have November and December to work on that. We're going to have to get a bipartisan consensus on some of this, and so we'll be presenting our ideas and putting them on the table. The Democrats, this is very important to point out, they don't have any reform ideas at all. Their argument is they want a completely unreformed continuation. They would do it permanently, most of them, on government just subsidizing the insurance companies. And that is not the solution. And we're going to be educating the population and along the way as we do this and come up with reforms that will actually solve the problem and not make it worse.
Yeah, President Trump has posted today that he wants to see $10,000 bonus to those air traffic controllers who did show up for work without getting paid. Is that something that we can accommodate? Can that get done? Because, I mean, these people actually were pretty good sports. I mean, they've put up with a lot in the last 41 days.
Yeah, they did. I mean, we have a lot of sympathy for them. I share the president's opinion on that because, I mean, these air traffic controllers have one of the most stressful jobs in the world, and then you add on top of that the layer of complexity that they're not getting paychecks and they're having to figure out also how to keep their families fed. I mean, we're asking them to do something that's almost inhuman. the president wants to reward their sacrifices, and I like the idea. Of course, it'll require an act of Congress, I'm sure, to have those bonus payments go out. But it's something we have to look at very closely. But it's not just air traffic controllers, of course. We've had Border Patrol agents and TSA officials, and the troops got paid because the president and the administration bent over backwards to find the funds. But those funds were running out, and this got very, very serious. So those who sacrifice so much to keep the rest of us safe, whether with air travel or in our national defense, have to be prioritized, and I think you hear that reflected in the president's idea there.
Well, there's something a little bit, unseemly of the fact that, these people have really had to suffer, whether it's the people you've identified beyond the air traffic controllers. I mean, they've really suffered. Meanwhile, the people that are supposed to do the job of funding the government by September 30th, and I applaud the House of Representatives for doing that, that's sort of their job. And they didn't do their job, and so these people have to take it on the chin.
Exactly. I mean, and worse than that, they said the quiet parts out loud. There were so many Democrats, I could begin to name them, a long list, Senate and House Democrats, who said the quiet parts out loud and said, well, this is our leverage. I mean, the pain of the American people was their leverage. For what? For what? What did they get out of this? It was to give themselves political cover. And I explain this in my press conferences every day of the shutdown. The simple truth is a painful one. The fact is that Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, who are the two leaders in both chambers of Congress on the Democrat side, are both from New York. And they saw the rise of the Marxists in New York City and the election of Mondami as mayor. And they're afraid that they're going to get a challenge from their left flank, from the far left flank in their next election cycle. That's 100% what this is about. Chuck Schumer had to give himself cover and try to prove to the far left in his party, the activists that run the Democrat Party now, that he was willing to fight Trump. Over what? And they used the American people's pain to accomplish that goal. In the end, I think it blew up in his face. I don't think it's going to work. I think it had the opposite effect. And now they're having all sorts of strife inside their own tent now because they disagree. That strife's going to continue. I think the Democrats are on a collision course inside their own tent because you have the Marxists trying to run out the old guard Democrats. And they got to figure out which future they want. And I think they're going to go further and further left.
Well, it does look like they might be employing, because a number of Democrats are now calling for Schumer's head because he let his caucus, sort of dissolve, and a number of Democrats voted with the Republicans. But let's hope Mother Nature doesn't interfere and cause a bad snowstorm so you can't get your people back this week to vote, because we'd like to see the government funded again. Speaker Johnson, nice to see you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Greta. Great to see you as always.
Another news organization in President Trump's crosshairs. This time, it is the BBC. Trump is reportedly threatening to sue the BBC, which is a British public corporation funded by the British citizens. How much is Trump considering to sue BBC for? A whopping $1 billion. The president is accusing the BBC of interfering in the presidential election. How and why? Well, the BBC edited a Trump speech and published it a day before the election last year. The speech showed the president on January 6, 2020, before the Capitol riots. The BBC's edit, which is the center of this dispute, included a line from Trump telling supporters to, quote, fight like hell. But, and this is really important, the BBC cut out the part where Trump told his supporters to protest peacefully. Two top officials at the broadcaster have since resigned. Coming up, Lithuania is blaming Russia for violating its airspace. Lithuania's foreign minister joins me next. That one, the record continues.
WeatherTech presents Happy holiday start at WT.com.
My employees and I want to thank all of you at Newsmax for your continued support of MyPillow. It's because of you and the grace of God that we're making it through. And to thank you, we're bringing you the best offers ever. Get our MyPillow bed sheets, only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size, even kings, regular $119.98, now only $29.88. Our My Towels are finally back in stock. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. Towels that actually work. What a concept. And for the first time and the only time ever, you're going to get our limited edition premium My Pillows. They're made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset. Queen $17.98, King's only $19.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code when you order today. Inventory for these offers are extremely limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.
Get unlimited satellite internet when you switch to Viasat. No data caps, no contracts. Just a fast, reliable connection installed by pros. Visit getviasat.com or call 877-VIASAT-7 to sign up today. Viasat, internet without limits.
At Lumber Liquidators, we have the best prices on flooring, and we guarantee it. Find a lower price, we will beat it with our best price guarantee. We have over 200 stores nationwide. Find yours at lumberliquidators.com. Tell them Tom sent you.
Joining us is Dr. Drew from the Wellness Company with advice for dealing with seasonal colds and flu. Doctor?
Cold and flu season is here, and every year you or a loved one gets sick. Your doctor can't see you. Waiting in a crowded urgent care is brutal. This is a particularly bad cold and flu season, and it's why doctors suggest every family needs an emergency medical kit. Your medical emergency kit is filled with essential prescriptions. It includes antibiotics like generic Z-Pak to get well faster, amoxicillin for pneumonia, strep throat, ear infections, plus prescriptions for nausea and UTIs, and even ivermectin. It's easy. Just match your symptoms to the prescription in your guidebook or call the telemedicine doctor standing by. Take your medication early and feel better faster. Having a medical emergency kit is like having an urgent care in your home. No waiting to see a doctor, no lines at the pharmacy.
Smart advice. We've shared the website and discount code below to save viewers $45. Order now and your kit will be rushed to your door. Thank you, doctor.
My name is Deanna Perazzo and I'm a professional wrestler. I want to use my spotlight to help T2T because my husband was a combat veteran. Helping vets is so important because they're often the most disregarded people in our society. And so to be able to say, like, we see you, we see the sacrifice, we see the struggle you go through to support us in our scariest moments, that deserves to be celebrated, that deserves to be honored. Please help by donating $11 a month at T2T.org. Let us do good.
The United States has had strong sanctions on Russia due to Russia's continued war on Ukraine. That war is now 3 years, 8 months long. One nation getting a pass from those sanctions, though, is Hungary, which buys a lot of Russian oil. On Friday, President Trump met with Hungary's leader, Viktor Orban. Trump is allowing Hungary to have an exemption from Russian energy sanctions. Trump said it is difficult for Hungary to get oil from other places. Hungary is a member of NATO, as is nearby Lithuania. Recently, some of the 32 member NATO countries have seen Russian aircraft challenge their airspace. Lithuania is one of those nations. About 2.5 weeks ago, Lithuania reported an incursion. That led NATO to scramble its jets. Foreign Minister of Lithuania, Kestutis Budrys, joins me. How did I do on your name, sir?
Yeah, very well.
Okay,
that's the correct pronunciation. Thank you for having me.
Why are you here in the United States?
I had a very good meetings already in Washington here, meeting Secretary Rubio, Secretary Bessent, and special envoy to Belarus, John Cole, today.
Yeah, my husband.
Yeah, and actually twice today I met him. There are so many strategic issues to discuss: security, defense, energy cooperation, economic security, and overall security situation globally. So this is the reason, and we, as being the strong allies, we have this need to coordinate our policies and to discuss the things.
When you had the incursion by Russian two planes, a fuel tanker and a jet, into Lithuania, was that an accident by Russia, or was that to sort of saber rattle and almost threaten Lithuania?
You know, in both cases, whether it was intentional or not, it shows that Russia doesn't pay attention where they conduct their exercises. First of all, they're doing it in such proximity to NATO airspace. They increase the probability of incidents just by the fact that they are so close. And when they violate our airspace, that is not then our responsibility to respond in a proper manner. It shows that our deterrence is not effective enough. They have to move away from our borders. We are not conducting exercise at the border with Russia, and we are not violating the airspace. Why should they?
Well, what's interesting, put up the map again for the viewers. I'm sure it's sort of, I didn't realize that there was a strip of Russian territory to your southwest. I mean, look at there. You've got Russia over to your east, the east. But you've also got this strip there, if you look on the map.
That's Kaliningrad.
And that's where the incursion was, right?
Yeah, from Kaliningrad. That is the most intensively packed territory in Russia with the armed forces. They have the Baltic Fleet, because it's next to the Baltic Sea. They have the core of the land forces. They have air defense. They have coastal defense. They have tactical nuclear weapons in this tiny area. Tiny area with 1 million people only.
And what is the border reinforced between Lithuania and that area of Russia?
Yeah, yes, it is. And we are paying a lot of attention on that border. Of course, they are protecting it, and the FSB, Internal Security Services, responsible for it. We have river going there, so we are not putting fence, like on the other side with our border with Belarus, where we put the fence, we build the wall just to counter the migration pressure. On Russia, we have the fence and the river. And we take a lot of other measures, electronic surveillance system, sensors and the others, just to control it, because they use for different sort of the provocations also.
You had to close down your airport in Vilnius recently, and that was from, what was coming from Belarus?
From Belarus, they try to instrumentalize and weaponize anything that is on their hand. So this time, this is the smuggling operations using meteorological balloons. So these huge balloons that can carry up to 40 to 50 kilos of cargo. In our case, this is cigarettes.
Why are they smuggling cigarettes?
Because they have overproduction of tobacco in Belarus. They produce in total in country 40% of all the production of tobacco is dedicated for smuggling. And they conduct then and organize it at the state level smuggling operations. And one of the ways how they do it, the meteorological balloons, because of our wall that we built with Belarus, it is difficult to do it.
Can they direct those balloons, or where do they think those balloons are headed? Do they know? Can they direct them into Lithuania or not into Lithuania? I mean, it seems like such a bizarre way to smuggle.
Yeah, they are following the winds, and when the proper conditions are, they let them go. But that was the minor operation till the very recently when the regime, the Belarusian regime, decided to instrumentalize it. They reach really high altitudes, and the ones then interrupt with our civil aviation. So we had to shut down our airspace, to shut down our airport, just because of the safety reason. And the airlines, they suffer huge costs on it, and that's millions and millions of dollars that they lose. And we were telling them, stop doing this, because you know what's the harm is in there. And once again, that's the NATO airspace, and what we saw as a result, those operations increased. And that was the proof that it was instrumentalized against us. And then it was additional call for us to action, to increase our air defense. We need more radars, we need more missiles to shoot them down, and of course put some pressure on Belarus.
Well, the country's in a geographically uncomfortable position, to put it gently, as we look at the map. Mr. Foreign Minister, thank you, sir. Welcome.
But the message is here: we know what to do. We are resilient, and we have all our lessons learned. And thank you for having me here.
And I know that your defense minister has been here too. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And it may be time to break out your winter coat. An Arctic blast is sweeping through parts of the U.S., starting in the Midwest. Last night, more than 12 inches of snow was reported in parts of Michigan and the great state of Wisconsin. Areas in Illinois were also hit by heavy snow, including Lake County, about 30 miles north of Chicago. It's not over. Your turn may be next. Tomorrow, the blast is expected to spread across the eastern two-thirds of the nation, including parts of the south. Snow is expected to fall from northern New York State all the way down to the mountains of eastern North Carolina. Record low temperatures could also be seen in Alabama, Mississippi, and Tennessee. Coming up, the Gaza peace plan is about to enter phase 2. What does that mean? That when the record continues.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 91 years of age, with my wife Shirley, who is 83. Now, both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno 150. Now, neither of us have any kind of sickness, and we're as flexible as we were 30 years ago, and we still do the physical things we did 30 years ago. Now, we are asking you to use Immuno 150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you. You won't believe it. Immuno 150 is an awesome nutritional supplement. There's nothing like it.
Yes, it really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order online or call the number listed on the screen, but don't place your order until after you've watched the videos on our website. Thank you from both of us, and God bless.
A peace plan for Gaza. For the plan to advance, Hamas must disarm. Instead,
Tonight, terrifying images emerging from Gaza. Videos show Hamas-linked gunmen carrying out a public execution as they return to the streets.
Hamas on a rampage, executing Palestinians, bloody crackdown, spreading terror. For freedom, not terror, Hamas must go.
Derriere, caboose, booty, badunkadunk. No matter what you call it, if you have hemorrhoids, your tushy is no laughing matter. So don't use a cream that treats your rear end like a joke. Get serious relief with Recticare Advanced Hemorrhoidal Cream. Recticare Advanced is seriously effective with 2 powerful medicines for rapid dual-action relief, soothing the uncomfortable swelling, itching, and pain of your hemorrhoids. For serious hemorrhoid relief for your buns, get Recticare Advanced.
There are only a few men I'd trust with my life. 2 of them built this wallet. I've known the guys behind Proof for nearly 20 years, and we've been through hell and back together. When they told me they were building the wallet, I just said, bill me now, I'm in. This isn't some fashion piece. This isn't just some trend. These wallets are a direct reflection of the kind of men who built it. It's built to last, built to function, and designed to carry everything you need and more. If anything happens to it, they'll take care of it. No questions, no fine print. If you knew the guys who created this wallet, you wouldn't carry anything else. Go check them out, because they built this thing right.
I've been a leader at App School All-Stars for 21 years. By working with kids every day, I've seen the complexity of youth mental health firsthand. Economic anxiety, kids falling behind in school, overuse of devices. There are many contributing factors that all deserve our attention. To ensure students reach their full potential, we should listen to them and empower their parents with every resource they need. Youth mental health is a difficult challenge. It needs a comprehensive solution.
After 11 years, the body of an Israeli Defense Forces soldier has finally been released by Hamas. Yesterday, remains of Hadar Golden were transferred from Gaza to Israel. Golden was killed during the 2014 Gaza war. Ever since he was killed, Hamas terrorists have held his body. Meanwhile, earlier today, White House envoy and President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem. Kushner and Middle East Special Envoy Steve Witkoff are in Israel to help move the Gaza ceasefire forward. Phase 1 of the deal is ending, and Phase 2 is set to begin. Middle East correspondent Zach Anders is in Tel Aviv, where it is 11:50 p.m. local time. Zach?
And Greta, we're down to the final 4 remains of hostages that are still held in Gaza. Hope that this week they could be brought out. Achieving Phase 2 of the president's peace deal, that's still a massive mountain to climb. Relations between Israel and Turkey are reaching another low here over the weekend, and that could be a problem. On Friday, the chief prosecutor in Istanbul issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and more than 24 officials. Turkey accusing these Israeli leaders of genocide. Now, since the war began, the Turkish leader, President Recep Erdogan, has praised Hamas. His country has suspended trade with Israel and closed its airspace to Israeli planes, yet Turkey has publicly lobbied for a role in a post-war Gaza. Now, after the warrants were announced, the Israeli defense minister also has a warrant for him in Turkey, reacting on X, posting, quote, "Take those ridiculous arrest warrants and get the hell out of here. They're more fitting for the massacres you've committed against the Kurds. Israel is strong and unafraid. You'll only be able to see Gaza through binoculars." Meanwhile, President Trump, he made clear on Friday that Phase 2 of the peace plan is close and that an international stabilization force inside Gaza will be in place very soon, he says. This is a coalition of nations likely coordinated by the new U.S. command center that was built last month in Israel's south. Turkey is reportedly pressuring the White House for its troops to join this future coalition that would deploy in Gaza to try and restore law and order and cut out Hamas. Jerusalem, however, publicly rejected that idea this morning. Take a listen.
There will be no Turkish boots on the ground in the present, in the past, in the future, specifically in the International Stabilization Force.
Now, Greta, despite Jerusalem's objections, U.S. Ambassador to Turkey, Tom Barak, he's a key figure in everything happening in the Middle East these days. He stated earlier this month that Turkey would participate in a future coalition. Barak says that the ceasefire in Gaza would not have happened without Turkey and that their relationship with Hamas is what made the ceasefire possible. Greta?
Zach, what boots on the ground would be mutually satisfactory as an international stabilization force to Hamas and Israel, do you think?
You know, it's interesting when we talk to folks in Jerusalem, we're not hearing about Middle East nations so much anymore. We're hearing about Indonesia, Azerbaijan, very far off the map kind of places that could be involved, just enough removed from past rivalries. The Egyptian forces coming into Gaza, there are certain folks in Jerusalem that don't like that idea. They're the closest to this, of course, but we're hearing about Indonesian troops, Azerbaijani troops. It could get very multinational in the coming days.
Zach Anders in Tel Aviv, thank you. Yesterday, fans watching the Commanders versus the Lions football game saw a special guest. First, President Trump and Air Force One buzzed the field. Well, not exactly. Air Force One flew safely over the stadium. Next, Air Force One landed nearby and the president went inside the stadium to watch. He became the first president in 50 years to attend a regular season NFL game. The last president to attend an NFL game was Jimmy Carter in 1978. That was when the then Washington Redskins against the Dallas Cowboys. And during yesterday's game, President Trump was very busy. First, he participated in the halftime show. He swore in a new class of enlistees in the United States military. Then Trump became the first president to join the broadcast booth. He talked about the game with the commentators. After that, as Trump was leaving, he saw a group of fans. At the front of the group was this young boy. The president called him over and gave him a presidential coin. By the way, yesterday the Lions beat the Commanders 44-22, and tonight in Monday Night Football, the Packers will beat the Eagles at Lambeau Field. Coming up, in Air Force One, President Trump buzzed the NFL, and now someone else did the same, but not at the NFL. That one, the record continues.
You hear the same voices.
Donald Trump knows that's a lie.
From the same people.
Donald Trump is less lucid.
Saying the same thing.
Insults, invective, and outright lies.
And you say, enough! I'm Chris Salcedo, and I'll tell you the real news. You don't believe me? Just tune in.
Healthy aging support starts here with the innovative nitric oxide science pioneered by Human, supporting your body from the heart out through circulation, blood flow, blood pressure, and energy. Results you can feel, science you can trust. Get started today at livehuman.com.
I start my day with Rise Mushroom Coffee. Makes me feel more focused and energized. It's coffee so good for you, there's not much room for improvement. Sorry.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 91 years of age, here with my wife Shirley, who is 83. Now, both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno 150. Now, we are asking you to use Immuno 150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you.
It really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order now. You'll be glad you did.
From the beginning, America has depended on the courage and resilience of those who serve in our armed forces. For 250 years, they've been there for us without fail, putting their lives on the line, defending our freedom, helping us become the nation we are today. At Wounded Warrior Project, our mission honors the past by building a better future for post-9/11 veterans, service members, and their families. Our life-changing programs and services help warriors improve their mental and physical health, access the VA benefits they've earned, and connect with their communities, their purpose, and each other. Warriors have given us their best. Join us in supporting them through the next 250 years of strength, resilience, and recovery. Visit woundedwarriorproject.org/USA250.
My employees and I want to thank all of you at Newsmax for your continued support of MyPillow. It's because of you and the grace of God that we're making it through. And to thank you, we're bringing you the best offers ever. Get our MyPillow bed sheets, only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size, even kings, regularly $119.98, now only $29.88. Our My Towels are finally back in stock. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. Towels that actually work. What a concept. And for the first time and the only time ever, you're going to get our limited edition premium My Pillows. They're made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset. Queen $17.98, Kings only $19.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code when you order today. Inventory for these offers are extremely limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.
For pain in multiple spots like here, here, or here, Salonpas patches stick firmly and remove comfortably once your pain is gone. Salonpas. It's good medicine.
From our orchards in Oregon to your holiday table, Harry and David delivers a legacy of gourmet excellence. Our prepared meals, fine wines, charcuterie, all crafted to elevate any celebration. Make it a hand-picked holiday with Harry and David.
High Point University in North Carolina has been honoring veterans ahead of tomorrow's Veterans Day. The college held an event to raise money to support local veterans. A patriotic visitor buzzed the crowd.
There ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Okay, that was great. Lee Greenwood and that eagle. That does it for us now. Chris Salcedo's show is up next. Tomorrow's Veterans Day. Honor your veterans. We'll see you tomorrow.